Snapdragon, Bachelor Button, Sweet Pea. One summer we neglected to deadhead. By winter our favorite flowers were still around, vibrant purple and red cuttings that shock the gray of cold kitchen counters. They were a hoot. My grandfather, who had been buried under at least 20 Irish knit layers of snow, came back warm-blooded. He draped his russet cardigan, cuffs worn by tinker fingers, onto the chiffon shoulders of your Aunt Millie, who arrived in her 1952 full bloom, holding a Manhattan glass etched with tipsy faces made mostly of eyelashes. Arriving in clusters, Snapdragon, Bachelor Button, Sweet Pea, all we had lost came back heady. Scooch, I said, for the brittle small stems of children who never were. Find a spot by the windowsill for the newly dead, still aching to open towards the sun. Let the angered and the fidgety ghosts sit by the warming oven. Add rose water to the lemonade. That winter we made a hothouse of memory, adding aspirin to every cutting. Later we rolled up our sleeves and canned the sour rhubarb into something sweeter.
In Orient Heights. Up at Mary's shrine, with loudspeakers, floodlights, and security cameras perched between angel statuettes on the wall. Up the 88 steps that cut through flaked paint triple-deckers like a concrete vein, with full view of bridge, beach, and financial districts, where incoming planes dip down, nearly slicing their stomachs on the perfectly symmetrical spikes of her crown. Latin prayers on rusted plaques, signs for Sunday Mass in Spanish and Portuguese. Up here, purity means the plastic bottles, broken glass, and fast food bags avalanched and standstilled on the hill never, unlike the snakes she squashes, touch La Virgen's feet. Peace means I can't hear the blue lines rumble, 1A traffic, or todos jueves, noche de rock en español, the karaoke that sounds like crying. Up here, a block removed from the thoroughbred track where racehorses no longer run, the faded gold leaf of her feet, hands, and face, that once opulent flesh tone, the loose coiled clay of her robe, its aged copper gone green, the solid brass sphere she balances on, and the thick steel rod that holds her in place. Up here in the heights, between peace and quarantine, Mary, Mother of God, eyes the mainland from her vantage, from the Roman grandeur and the trash, lodged in the frontal lobe of my neighborhood, between the landfill it was built on and the heaven beyond its grasp.
Bodega. Young boy in summer native garb, white tank top, do-rags, a smooth blue crown garnishing the stubbles of a week-old fade. Regulates a stereo knob while sitting shotgun in a chrome wheel Escalade. The ghost of Tupac Shakur magnified in a subwoofer like an opus. As long as music's kept, all's good where we come from. If only a glare, then easily stumble. If only manhood wasn't tenured with black powder in metal capsules. Brown boys, free to chase arcade mortality, wouldn't have to wearily long for a ghetto's heaven. Or if grief inherited each day they step into the AM, would follow them into an afterlife. But corners often leave souls open and closed, hoping for more. And on Winthrop and Thorndale, the sidewalk folds into a man in hooded sweatshirt and blood-sodden jeans, fresh breaths breaching his lungs. If only keeping eyes off the karma and on the prize was what made this world go round, it would be what was always wanted. Any landscape better than what's here, where on most nights a native glare renders a chamber empty as winter flower boxes.
Spectral evidence. Because she said she saw, and therefore these pinholes in her skin, on one arm to be exact. Look how they crisscross, make a doily of the flesh. And because she said she saw, you, not you, take a small pin from your pocket, a straight pin with a flat head. And because she said it was, therefore you, therefore not a dream, puncturing each pore, you in the flesh, not flesh, with a common pin.
Laid off elementary school librarian. When the new principal, under the direction of the educational consulting company, asks you to train your minimum wage replacement, and the local papers praise all these reforms, and even your friends move to the suburbs and believe the brown skin of the children you teach must be avoided. When your Saturdays buying used books for those children, and the darkening afternoons putting those books away so they can check them out again, seem a lost, wasted life. Remember your walk to and from school, through the downtown that's still your downtown, and the way your students wrap their arms around your leg when they see you on the street, and how the older ones from years before, even sometimes the boys, hug you in Market Basket or at the Halloween parade and pronounce your name wrong like they used to. Ms. Gerald, Ms. Gerald. And then tell you what books they've been reading.
The veiled women walking along Broadway from the bakery and sometimes the new Burka store got my father nervous. I'd drive him by the beach, by St. Teresa's. Well, I won't be going there anymore, he'd point, screwed by God, by my mother's Alzheimer's, his cancer. He was going to die and my mother wouldn't know. The church sold off St. Teresa's to pay for legal fees, and the stone cross was pulled down like the statue of Saddam Hussein, roped and toppled. They glued a crescent moon to the terracotta brick, and now it's something else. A woman waits out front so veiled, all I see are her eyes, like my own black coon cat. Her eyes don't scare me, though. If you live here long enough, no one will meet your gaze. My father hated cats, too. A man may die once he has married 3 daughters off, Rumi said. My 2 sisters and I feed our cats till they're fat. My own cat's fur grows long, and she sits waiting, covered and purring, her eyes green or golden, kissing me with her eyes, warm and plump under fur that covers her like a black niqab.
This is a dream, or I could be lying. You see me in the supermarket, and I lie about the dream, say it was my father's, not mine. I'm ashamed, and you know it. I never told you this before, I say, but I remember when I did something awful. Then I notice my shopping cart is empty, and I think I see pity on your face. I watch you roll away, realize the lies are failing me, and a voice in the courtesy booth asks over the loudspeaker, America, what is happening to you?
When death came to my uncle's door, I bid him enter and rest a spell, and we sat drinking dirty chais and watched 2 seasons of the hit sci-fi show Fringe, a little bit of Orange is the New Black, and the entirety of Prison Break, which was canceled, we agreed, well before its time. God, those abs, Death muttered aloud whenever Wentworth Miller III took off his shirt. You could bounce a quarter off those, he added, half drooling. Meanwhile, my uncle was clawing his way out the back window with nothing but a pair of nail clippers and a brass button. And off he went at last, tripping the light fantastic, down the driveway and into the morning sun, around chai number 10 maybe, it's a bit fuzzy. And no one ever did see or hear from him ever again.
Diaspora Sonnet 21. Because summer resides in deciduous pods, I resolve to surrender. I kiss the gods, fat and hollow, armed then dismembered by pecking birds in their floral, orchestral gestures. I envy their inimitable altos, their arduous joy at having. Because I cannot rival spring and all its notable offspring, the joyful violence of men at the gate, the upsurge of cars along the interstate.
January thaw. Ducks circle the half-frozen pond in front of my children's school. They did not fly south for the winter, nor are they bothered by the stream of afternoon cars, the shuffle of backpacks and bodies. They circle cumbersome ice chunks, bobbing in and out of chilled water as they search for dragonfly eggs and lace wing remnants preserved beyond their expiration dates in rooms made by pondweeds and small shafts of afternoon light. At the curb, there is the crush of kids hugging parents, the "How was your day?" and "Where did you sit at lunch?" and "Let's go, let's go, let's go." But in the center, a family floats, considers the soft wind traveling from shallow to deep and back again, with no place else to be.